Wellness expert to help us understand what this disease is, its statistics in Uganda, and the question is, surely is it not curable, but also what's the way forward? Because in one way or another, we are a community country, and in our communities we do have judges that are of age, and therefore maybe one or two could be experiencing this and we are not aware of this. Good morning to you, Jackie.
Good morning.
You are most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, starting with Alzheimer, please help us give us a broader perception of what Alzheimer's disease is.
Alzheimer's is actually a decline in intellectual function. It is characterized by mental deterioration, and this deterioration later starts to affect one's memory. It affects the daily performance socially and even at work. So it's mainly you start to lose your memory, in that for someone cannot recall even a recent show that has viewed, but you could maybe recall the past events. I could give an example. Someone can recall what happened in 1986, but they cannot recall what they've just watched. So it starts with a short-term memory, but it's a progressive condition. So because it's progressive, it later develops into severe memory loss, and that severe memory loss can even go into delusions and hallucinations.
Oh, okay. All right. And what's the statistical status of Alzheimer's in Uganda?
Over 1 out of 5 people aged 60 and above has Alzheimer's in Uganda, according to prevalence studies. And according to WHO, it's estimated that about 2/3 of people with Alzheimer's live in low-income or middle-income countries, and Uganda being one of those, that could actually state the figure. And then globally, it's estimated that over 55 million people have dementia, and it's actually estimated to increase by about 78 million people in 2030. It's estimated to increase, so it's really a condition that we need to look into.
Okay, you have mentioned the fact that it's more pronounced in countries that are third world or second world. What does this actually mean when it comes to diagnosis and also treatments? What's the repercussion of that?
It could be mainly in low and middle income countries, mainly because of nutrition issues or nutrition deficiencies, because as these old people grow up, because it's a condition that's mainly in people that are 60 and above, or 65 or even 85. There are issues of nutritional deficiencies, and studies show that for most people with Alzheimer's that are 65 and above, they're deficient in mainly B vitamins and zinc. So these nutrients, I think because of these low and middle income countries having that nutritional gap, there is expected to be nutritional deficiencies that lead to progression of Alzheimer's.
Okay, I'm glad that you're a dietitian. So in your capacity, when it comes to these deficiencies that you speak of that actually could aid this disease rapidly growing in one, how do you tend to sort of communicate to people that they need to be sensitive? Because at 65 and above, I'll be honest with you, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And one of the new tricks is minding their diet, and they're ever focusing on either doing boiro, because that's what they think, that at this age now I'm supposed to be eating boiro, everything boiro, but they never think about their body nutrients. So in your dietary capacity, how exactly are you actually aiding people to understand that they need nutrients such as these in their bodies at that age?
So firstly, it's through nutrition education and communicating the message out there through media, just like we're having morning at NTV. So this is a good avenue for people to learn and know, and only that the fact that the disease is progressive, through these nutrition interventions, we have something called supplementation. Supplementation fills into that gap where someone is lacking nutrients, and then a supplement can provide. For example, you can have zinc in form of a supplement. You can also have the B vitamins, vitamin B6, vitamin B3, you can have them in form of supplementation, and studies really show that supplementation of these nutrients really helps with Alzheimer's. So firstly, supplementation does not take away the fact that healthy eating still plays a part. So in education, we train people consumption of foods that are rich in micronutrients so that they can be able to nourish their body from within and prevent the progression of Alzheimer's.
Okay. All right, supplements do not replace your diet. You must also have insurance of your diet being complementary to the things that you need in your body. Now, you speak of supplements. I'm thinking, if we get to know of the necessary supplements to our bodies at the right ages, for example, if they start these supplementary plans at, say, 40, does that reduce the progression?
Yes, it does, but like I said, that supplementation does not substitute healthy eating. So mainly we start with a healthy eating program and then we move to specific supplements. But however, the elderly also have a challenge of malabsorption, because as you grow old, kind of the body starts to also respond differently. So due to malabsorption, some of them, they take in the proper foods, but the nutrients are not as absorbed as they should. And so this can affect the condition in the long run.
Okay, all right. The cases that you have worked on here in Uganda, what have the signs and symptoms looked like?
The signs and symptoms, it's mainly forgetfulness, but this forgetfulness is not the usual forgetfulness of maybe I forgot my car keys somewhere or I forgot my pen. I could give an example. With dementia, this sort of forgetfulness is that if someone puts on glasses and probably they drop them, someone forget that I dropped my glasses here. With dementia, it's someone forgetting that they wear glasses.
Oh.
So it's characterized by that kind of forgetfulness. Then there's also, in the later stages, it can come on as someone being violent and angry, and you've seen it with some of these older people. And then some of them actually are not violent and angry, they are docile and passive. And now you start to ask yourself, what's the problem with this person? And then, of course, like I mentioned, memory loss. So with some of them, like those old judges, you see they recall this person's name or they refer to the other person as this person. So there's severe memory loss with Alzheimer's.
I'm going to ask a very peculiar question. With old age comes some sort of memory loss. So should one fear that because their judger is experiencing a lot of memory loss, that perhaps they could be having the disease?
Yes, with old age comes memory loss, but not everyone should have Alzheimer's. Not everyone who is 85 or over 60 has Alzheimer's. So it is true that there's some memory loss expected, but it's not a must-have, I could say. It's not a must-have.
Okay. All right. So you talked about healthy eating. What does healthy eating for a person with this condition look like?
With the modern day diet, where we have lots of processed foods, now processed foods are depleted of micronutrients. And so most of these micronutrients are what we really need for our bodies to thrive. Most people do not consume lots of fruits and vegetables, and these have antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C. These are really key for your brain to function very well. And then because we have a diet that's low in antioxidants, we also have a diet low, antioxidants are mainly from fruits and vegetables. We have a diet that's high in processed foods. Processed foods are depleted of all the micronutrients that one needs to thrive on. And with old age, one really needs the micronutrients in high doses. And that's why supplementation comes in handy.
So the micronutrients come through the supplementation?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no food that they can actually, keep to that could aid them in slowing the progression of the disease?
I mentioned the foods, mainly fruits and vegetables. The older you age, the more your plate should have those foods, and the more color, the more nutrients. Fruits have a wide range of colors, even vegetables, purple, or orange, all those represent a certain nutrient in them. And so because we have a community that is not so much on the fruits and the vegetables, and we're doing lots of processed foods, lots of unreal food, I call it. So it affects our micronutrient intake. So because of that gap, supplementation is really beneficial.
Okay, all right, so colors of the rainbow should be on your plate starting today. You don't have to wait until 65. If you do that earlier, you actually save yourself a lot and you set yourself up to actually enjoy your old age. Now, there's a bigger question here. From my understanding, it's not curable. Is that true?
Like it's irreversible, but its progression can be slowed. Like I mentioned, if you do certain things. Now, there are certain things that also aggravate Alzheimer's, such as alcohol intake, such as smoking, lifestyle. Actually, recently I read of a study that Alzheimer's can be aggravated by low education levels. This is not just simple education of going to school and all that. For people who don't exercise their brains.
Oh, for those of them that think that 1 degree is enough and you put it on the shelf and you move on with the rest of your life.
Yes.
Ah.
So the more you read or the more you study, the more you exercise your brain cells, and so they keep on regenerating. But when you're not reading or studying, they are dormant and docile, so you could be really one of the culprits for Alzheimer's.
So how do you recommend people at that age incorporate reading into or education into, you know, their lifestyle?
Yeah, it's important to always want to learn something, or to always exercise your brain to learn something new, to see something, because this helps your brain to function even better.
All right. Ah, wow. Very interesting information that we are getting to learn. And again, all you needed to know about Alzheimer's disease. Now, when it comes to types, I'm meant to understand that there's different types, especially if it is diagnosed at an earlier stage in life. It's usually referred to as younger onset or early onset. So could you tell us the different types?
Oh yeah, actually there are two types, mainly early onset, and that comes in within your mid-30s and 40s. We have these conditions coming in early in the modern day age because of our change in lifestyle and way of living. And then we have the late onset, which comes in from 65 to 85 and above. So the early onset is just coming in early, and it's usually genetics, because it has a link with genetics. They say that if you have someone in your family who has had Alzheimer's, the chances of you having this condition are high, so you could get it earlier, but it's rare. It's rare for someone to have Alzheimer's in their 30s and 40s, but it can happen.
But it's detectable if someone decided to go and do a test. It can be detected in the 30s and the 40s.
It's usually undetected, mainly because of those. They usually detect it from the micronutrient deficiencies. Right. Yes. Okay.
All right. So what capacity do we have as Uganda to actually accommodate this condition, given the fact that from your statistics, 1 out of every 5 working elderly are capable of having the disease?
In Uganda, we really do have capacity, because firstly, when it comes to food, Uganda is a country that's blessed with food. So for me, I think that if we could only educate people how to eat right, especially the elderly, to a lesser extent, we don't have that capacity, because when you look at maybe other countries abroad, they have areas where the elderly are taken care of and given that attention. So we are missing out that touch where our old people are left in the villages to fend for themselves, or no one is really there to even observe and look at what they're eating and make sure they're taking their supplements every day. So we need to strengthen something like maybe elderly homes to look after those people with special needs and take good care of them.
Okay. All right. Well, Jackie, in your last words, is there medical treatment to this disease?
There's medical treatment, but like I said, lifestyle really plays the bigger role. It's mainly lifestyle medicine, change of your way of life, change of your nutrient intake, change of your diet and all that. But there are medical approaches as well.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for giving us an enlightenment into Alzheimer's disease. Now, it all comes down to your lifestyle and also your nutrient value. One day, my father was actually terribly sick. He had a very ununderstandable, stomach condition. So we ended up being referred to a doctor in Mbara. We made a trip to Mbara with my mother and my sister and my father. When we got there, through the application of dietary treatments, we got to find out exactly what my father's condition was. But my father does not die alone. He said all of them must be checked and given treatment equally. And we got to realize that we had deficiency in certain nutrients. Of course, as you grow older, there's certain nutrients that reduce in your body. Therefore, you have to keep them at 100% or optimum. Therefore, you might have to then borrow the aiding of supplements to be able to cater to that. So don't just go to the shelf and supplement yourself or do self-treatment, as Ugandans are so known to do. Make sure that you go to a dietitian such as Jackie. She will be able to diagnose for you the state of your nutrients and then be able to give you a complementary plan that can give you a boost up to optimum so that you can perform better and have a healthier lifestyle and avoid such conditions as Alzheimer. Now, thank you so much. I hope and trust that that has been very informative for you that have elderly persons around you. Please be more vigilant, be watchful of those signs that she talked about, and then be able to accord them the desired treatment. We do have a Kickstarter that is also coming up, still health related, in regards to death awareness in Uganda. Do stay with us.